Oh my God. Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. As you guys can see right now, it is freaking cold here in Ohio. We got a little bit of snow on the ground. Today I want to talk to you guys about 3 baits that caught me a ton of fish that came in the mystery tackle box this year. It's freezing cold. I'm gonna go back inside, but I'm gonna show you guys these baits and I'm gonna show you some fish catches with them as well. All right, I gotta get inside. It's freezing cold. Alrighty, so we're out of the cold. We're gonna hang out here in the studio today. And guys, I just wanna show you these 3 baits because they caught me a ton of fish this year and some really, really nice fish. And these are honestly baits that I never would have touched or bought if they didn't come in the mystery tackle box. So we're gonna go over the baits one at a time. I'm gonna show you guys how I rigged it up and what I did differently with the bait, just in case you guys have one of these baits and maybe you wanna try fishing it a different way. The first bait that I got was this guy right here. This is the 10,000 fish 𝗙cie𝗹𝗹. This was a bait that, I'll be honest with you guys, when I first saw it, I had a lot of mixed emotions about. My first exposure to this particular bait was actually at iCast. And when I saw this, I thought there was just way too much going on. I didn't necessarily think it was a bad looking bait. It was just too much creature for me. This is the perfect example of where I want to encourage you guys to get completely out of your comfort zone and try new stuff that comes out. So the first time that I actually fished this bait was when I did a challenge here on this channel for mystery tackle box. I think we did like a box giveaway. I had to use everything in the mystery tackle box to catch a limit of fish, and this guy was in the box. I Texas rigged it with a 5/16 ounce bullet weight, started flipping it around shore, and just started catching bass like crazy. There we go.
Oh, that's a decent sized fish, bro.
Oh,
Bro, that is a really nice.
I'm one of those guys. That's another good one.
That is actually good.
This one might be bigger. Oh God, that's a really good fish, dude. I'm gonna have to grab another pack in the boat. And this technically isn't a jig, it's a Texas rig. I know you
No, I hate throwing my jigs.
Yada yada yada.
That's something fish.
I told you, they're way up in there, dude. It's so weird. Oh my gosh, dude. From that day on, I didn't want to put it down. This became my #1 creature bait, or like my #1 Texas rig bait of the 2021 season, at least from the point on in which it came to the market. So this bait was really cool. It has a really great action and it has a really slow fall. Anytime that I found myself fishing like a steeper ledge, I would fish like a heavier bullet weight and I wouldn't peg it. Whenever that bullet weight would leave that hook, this bait would just flutter so nicely. And it seemed like whenever the bite wasn't on, when the fish were being like finicky, fish would just annihilate this thing. So I really think this is going to be a great bait when it comes to like fishing in colder water or fishing in pressured situations. I mean, truthfully, there's really nothing on the market like this bait right here, and I think that was another reason that it produced such a good bite. There was a lot of things you could do with this bait. I primarily fished at Texas rig, but I also found myself ripping it in half, putting it on a finesse jig. It's also recommended that you guys can fish it on a Carolina rig. Honestly, you can do so much with this bait. It's very versatile and there's nothing like it on the market. So truthfully, if I didn't get it in my mystery tackle box, I don't know if I ever would have ended up actually fishing it. Now, the next bait that I got in a mystery tackle box was called the Hoax fish stick bait. Now, I'm calling it that. It really didn't have a name. It just came in a package that looked like this. Unfortunately, I don't have any here in front of me because I used them all, but I do need to order some more. So I'm gonna go ahead and call this the Hoax fish stick bait. Now, this was a stick bait that was really unique as well. It had a lot of ribs down the bait and it had an open center. Now, this was a bait that I was like, off the bat, yeah, this might be a pretty good like wacky rig bait, but when it comes to stick baits, there's so many on the market, it's kind of hard to just fish a bunch of different ones, right? You pretty much pick up a Senko or you pick up one that you like and you stick to it, because at the end of the day, a stick bait is a stick bait. But this was another bait that I had never seen before. I've never seen it on the shelf at a store or anything like that, and it pretty much made its introduction to me through the mystery tackle box. So I was filming another video for this channel and showed up in the box. We were fishing with every lure in this box for this video. We could not get bit for the life of us. We had 2 hours to catch 18 pounds of bass so that we could give away a mystery tackle box to one of you guys watching these videos. I couldn't figure it out. I was trying topwater baits, whatever else was in that box, like crankbaits and things like that, and the fish would not touch them in the pond that we were fishing. I ended up picking up this stick bait and started fishing at Texas Rig. I started fishing super tight to cover, and almost every single cast I was getting cranked. I ended up catching pretty much the 18 pounds of bass in about 15 minutes using this stick bait. All right, guys, we're gonna give you a quick update here. It's been a struggle. We got out here, the bite was really tough, and we literally have, gosh, it's what, 7:51. We have probably about a half an hour before it's pitch black dark. It's been tough to kind of figure out a bite. It's been all over the place because of the weather, but we found all these cattails right here, and we found out there's bass in here. This is a good one. Oh yes, this is gonna help. Come to Papa, come to Papa. Yes, yes. Oh, that, guys, the bite is picked up. We're on a night bite. Let's go, baby. This is 2.8 at least. There we go. God, I just got him. Come here. This was one that was just, again, it was unique, and I believe it just had a different profile than most people fish. And sometimes when it comes to just changing up the profile a little bit, you can get a lot more strikes out of that fish. So this is a really cool bait that I believe can be fished wacky rig productively, but I primarily fished at Texas Rig. And then lastly, we have this fixed body swim bait. Now I actually got this in my box twice, and both times I ended up catching straight donkeys. I'm talking, in Florida, I hooked into like a 7.5 pounder with this bait, and then a home lake here in Ohio, I hooked into the biggest bass that I have seen all year. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with this particular swim bait for the reason that I just said. I hooked into a 7 pounder and I hooked into a 6.5 pounder with this bait. Oh, dude, that's a giant. Oh my God. Bro, that was like a 6 pounder. We'll get to that here in a second, but to give you guys a quick brief on this bait, this right here is the Savage Gear 3D swim bait. I believe that's just what it's called. It is essentially just a fixed body paddle tail swim bait. And you know, this bait is really awesome. I used this primarily in the fall towards the end of the season, where I was really trying to key in on that shad push or just the bait fish push. So this bait right here in particular was a really great way to imitate that forage, and it was producing a ton of bites. Now, I caught an insane amount of fish on this swim bait, don't get me wrong. As you guys can see, I mean, I'm gonna try and get that in focus for you. As you guys can see, this bait is like completely torn up. So I'm gonna start off with this Savage Gear swim bait from yesterday, give it a couple hooks, try to fish it higher in the water column. So we'll see if we can get bit. And if I can't figure anything out, then maybe we'll go to the 𝗙cie bug. But I think if it get, oh, first cast, oh, he dropped it. He came back and got it. That was sick.
Please go the other way, please.
This is a big fish, dude. Never mind, maybe this, dude, that was one of the sickest eats ever. Well, there's some bait fish. Oh, that was so sick, dude. He was already on those bait fish I casted. Oh my gosh, dude. That was sick. Oh, look at that freaking thing, guys. In its mouth. Choked. So the reason that I love it is because it really catches fish. I was finding myself catching fish after fish after fish when I was fishing alongside my buddies who could not get bit. We turned around, we took it to Florida. We were catching everything from largemouth to peacock bass on this swim bait. And overall, it was a great fish producer. But one thing that I did not like about it was the hookup ratio. Now, I was able to fix that down the road a little bit, but I haven't quite figured it out. So this bait, as far as the action it looks and everything, it's amazing. It's one of the best fixed body swim baits I've ever fished, in my opinion, for an inexpensive price. But the one thing that I think they could have done better with this bait is giving it a bigger dorsal hook. I'm gonna go ahead and call it a dorsal hook. I don't know if that's the correct term, but the fixed hook that's weighted inside this bait, it looks great. It looks like an ideal size. It helped in the sense of keeping the bait, you know, free of weeds and stuff like that. But it seemed like every single time that I hooked into a decent fish, the fish was able to shake it off. Dude, he don't want to come up.
He's probably under all the weeds. I don't think he can come up.
No, he's not. His head's shaking like crazy. This is a big fish, dude. You got it? Oh my God. Oh my God.
That was a 7-pounder.
That was a 6-pounder, dude. Now, don't get me wrong. When it comes to fishing swim baits, it's a pretty common thing. Like, hookup ratio to begin with is tough when it comes to fixed body swim baits, but this one in particular, I don't know if the barb just isn't big enough on it. I don't know if the hook itself isn't big enough on it, but the way that I ended up fixing this hookup ratio just a little bit was by adding a treble hook to the bottom of the bait. Now, you guys are gonna lose a little bit here depending on where you're fishing. You know, you're gonna get snagged a little more, you're gonna get more weeds and stuff like that. But Savage Gear did actually put a ring on the bottom there so that you can attach another hook. So I had to make some modifications to create a better hookup ratio with this bait. But as far as action goes and producing fish, this produced 2 of the biggest bass that I've seen all year. So there you guys have it. There are the top 3 baits that I got in my mystery tackle box for my 2021 season. It was a really great season for me. I caught a ton of great fish, and you know, a lot of it was because of baits that I got in my mystery tackle box. So hey, I want to know in the comment section down below, guys, what are your favorite baits that you got in your mystery tackle box? Hopefully I can get out and fish soon. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me here today. I'll see you next time.